Welcome back from that report. That sort of sets the pace for our discussion on the program today. I know extrajudicial killings is something that's always been with us as a people, but there seems to have been a bit of rest from that for a while until recently when there's been various reports of armed officers killing innocent citizens. And of course, the case study is that of the 25-year-old Taylor who lost his life while celebrating his own birthday. All right, we're going to kickstart the discussion from Abuja. We have on standby the member representing Atakumosa East and West, and also Ilesha East and West Federal Constituency in Osun State, in the person of Honorable Israel Famurewa. Good afternoon, Honorable. Thank you indeed for joining us on Galaxy today. All right, you know, over time, there's always been expressions of concern by international bodies, particularly those who are into human rights activities, over indiscriminate use of firearms, especially where there is loss of lives. And Nigeria has always been a target country for such concerns. Now, let's test the pulse of the government coming from your end. What really is the outlook of the government of the day in terms of possession of firearms and how it is being used, especially as it affects citizens in Nigeria?
If we are talking about the firearms, as of today, I know that we have a rules, we have an act that prohibits the use of these firearms indiscriminately. Before you can even hold one, you must have a permit. And before the permit can be issued to you as a Nigerian, there are some investigation that the regulatory authority will have to, carry out about your personalities and why you are, seeking for that approval. But unfortunately, in this part of the world, maybe we've been misused that opportunity, and people, due to our lapses in our system, we've been, people have been able to cut corner in, getting all these firearms without really having a genuine permit to hold it. And this has really, especially during political rally campaign and all sorts of things, majority of our politicians do, procure these firearms and give to their will-be thugs to use to unleash terror on their opponents. Unfortunately, after the campaign period, the election period, they may not have, the audacity to withdraw all these firearms. These people may now take that advantage and use it, in some other negative way that will inflict pains on the innocent Nigerians. Some may even go as far as using it to, commit some crimes of armed robbery and all sorts of things. So it's just due to the lapsity in our system. But as of today, I know clearly that we have an act that prohibits the indiscriminate use of firearms in Nigeria.
I understand that sometimes at one end is the issue of indiscriminate use of firearms. At the other end is the use of these firearms in the hands of security operatives. Sometimes last year in October, the House of Reps summoned the Inspector General of Police to explain the death of one Izu Joseph, 3SC footballer from Ibadan, and quite a number of other issues. A 5-year-old girl, another 17-year-old, and also a 30-year-old man who were, just killed for no reason. So what exactly is the feedback from the police authority after that summon?
I think the investigation is still going on that particular matter. As we are talking out, when we finish our investigation, we need to investigate, get relevant information from the police authority, and the police authority will now feedback the House. The House Committee on Police Affairs, I think they are working on that. When we finish our work, we are going to make public our recommendation as per that. But I believe over seriousness of some of our military, police officers do cause to misuse of these firearms in a way that they will just maybe mistakenly, knowingly or unknowingly, release bullets that will now claim lives of innocent Nigerians. But I know on that particular matter you just mentioned, the House is working on it. The moment we finish our work, our investigation, we are going to make the report public that the whole nation will know the outcome of the Parliament's decision on that particular issue.
That the government has not come to a point of recognizing how urgent and how emergent these issues are, especially when it comes to conflicting ideas. You recall what Amnesty International says about extrajudicial killings in the country, about how 150 IPOB, what do you call them, peaceful pro-Biafra protesters were killed in 2016. And there seem to be conflicting reports. The army is saying, no, we are not doing this. Amnesty International is saying the figures are different. Would you agree that the government doesn't seem to see this as something that requires some sort of a state of emergency, if I can put it that way? Okay, I'm hoping that we're still together. We hope to reconnect with the Honorable who joined us now from Abuja, Honorable Israel Famrewa, who is opening our eyes to the position of government as regards extrajudicial killings. We'll find our way back to him subsequently in the course of the show. Let's get back to the studio where security consultant Richard Amua joins us. Good afternoon and thanks for coming.
Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you for having me.
I'd love to start with the kind of arms that military personnel or let's say security operatives can carry. We see on streets some, I don't know what you call it, maybe it's an AK-47 long rifles. They are not usual sights in developed worlds. Are policemen, are they supposed to carry such long guns?
First of all, I think good day to our viewers. You see, Nigeria's situation is peculiar. I've traveled, I've seen things. I only use, for example, New York police. We seem to be more people's friendly. We don't see them with ammunition, but it depends on the kind of crime I've asked that question in my earlier career. Why do we carry, why do the police carry those
kind of guns?
Those kind of guns.
Yeah.
And they do because of the situation, because of security situation peculiar to Nigeria.
Okay.
I think that's why they're doing that. Because I can imagine if those guys don't carry those ammunitions, apart from the fact that they are misusing it, if they don't carry it, I'm telling you, it will be disastrous.
Now, I get you. I understand that we do have a peculiar security state in Nigeria, but then the presence of the police, you know, most of the time should create a sense of security.
That's right.
But the opposite is the case, because when you see a policeman, averagely, the first thing that you experience is fear, especially when you see those kind of guns.
You see, police is supposed to be people's police. Police is supposed to be friendly. Like I said, I've seen police in different climes outside Nigeria. And I remember some time ago, we had this event, and I was taking selfie with the commissioner of police. No, it was, I said, sir, I want to take selfie with you. Because when you travel out of this country, the police made themselves available
yes,
to you, for you to
interact.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think what we have with Nigerian police is the fact that we're seeing practices archaic kind of policing. Even with the fact that this new hierarchy of Nigerian police in Abuja and in all the states are trying to educate the rank and files of Nigerian police, but they are still finding it very difficult. Seriously. You see, for police to get that information from me, I think they need to be my friend. I think they need to treat me like they are, I remember those days when we were growing up, police used to have this police game, police football, all kind of thing. And people go to watch. But suddenly, even with the advent of democracy in Nigeria, this 17 years of democracy, that we think that the government of the people, for the people, by the people. And as a result of that, it is police that is supposed to see. But today, because of like we said again, because of the issue of security situation in Nigeria, you talk about kidnapping, you talk about armed robbery, you talk about terrorism and other stuff. You see army being part of security situation in Nigeria right now. So what I'm saying is that police themselves need to look inward and say, what can we do? Like you said in your prologue, it has stopped a while, but suddenly it escalated again.
Yes.
So maybe there's something wrong somewhere. To me, I will always tell people that because of the kind of country we are in, if you see a policeman, you don't argue with a policeman. Policeman is supposed to say,
especially when he's carrying a gun.
Yeah, you see, let me tell you, I've taken my time to study the psychology of a policeman in Nigeria. It's them sad that the system has turned majority of them to who they are. For example, you bring in somebody from Kaduna to Lagos to come and work. For the past 2-3 weeks, he has nowhere to stay. You love a law family, you have a law family. They don't have interaction with their family. They are cut off because of the job. This guy stays in the sun, morning.
Sun up to sundown.
Sun up, no. And you want to provoke him. We are human. Even though with training, you are supposed to now find a way of controlling your temper. But unfortunately, they lose it. So that's why I tell people that when you see a policeman on the street, look at most of the policemen. Some of them are not drunk. Okay. Or look at their eye bulb. It's red.
All right, let me cut in here. We seem to have reconnected with Abuja again. We still have Honorable Israel Famurewa joining us from Abuja. All right, conclusively, so that we can let you off the line, I would like to ask if there is any sort of deliberations, on the floor of the assembly, as to, these cases of extrajudicial killings. Is anybody even talking about it? Because there seems to be growing concern on the side of the citizens. People are being killed every day while going about their normal duties because a policeman has access, to a firearm. I think issues like this, human angle or human sensitive issues like this should be a major concern also to our lawmakers. Is anybody even talking about it in the House?
Yeah, thank you, my sister. Any issue that, has to affect the life of ordinary Nigerians, there's no way we'll not be talking about it on the floor of the House, because this parliament is the parliament of the people. We are representing people's interests. And I can assure you that any time issue of extrajudicial killings comes up, it comes for discussion, deliberation on the floor. We argue it, we debate it, and we saddle the responsibility with the particular committee that will look into it and give report back to the House. So there's no way we'll not be talking about it, because anything that has to affect the life of ordinary Nigerian, we don't take it lightly, especially in this State Assembly.
All right, thank you very much for your contribution. We've been speaking with the Honorable representing Atakumosa East-West and Elisha East-West Federal Constituency in Osho State, Honorable Israel Famurewa. Well, we'll quickly just move away from Abuja now and check out what's happening in Oyo State. We have the Commissioner of Police there standing by, Mr. Abiodun Odude. Thank you very much for finding time to join us on the show this afternoon. Let's just start immediately with you, Commissioner. What exactly is the situation with proliferation of small arms, especially in Oyo State? Well, while we're trying to get that connection right, let's just go see some more details about what's happening in the course of the preceding years where extrajudicial killings is concerned in Nigeria.
Tuesday afternoon, and we're still discussing the indiscriminate use of firearms, especially by armed personnel, as well as extrajudicial killings in Nigeria. We're going straight to Ibadan now, as we're being joined by the Commissioner of Police for Oyo State, Abiodun Odude. Good afternoon, Commissioner. Thank you for joining us on the program this afternoon. Now, I want to ask, is it every police officer that has to carry a firearm? And if not, what informs the issuing of a firearm to an officer in the first place? Hello, Commissioner. Can you hear us?
Every police officer that is supposed to carry firearms, there are specific duties you don't need firearms for. For example, traffic duties, you don't need firearms to control traffic. But there are operational duties that you must carry firearms, and every policeman who carries firearms has been trained in the use of firearms. There is what we call Force Order 237 that gives guidelines to every policeman on when you are authorized to carry firearms. It's one of the most important sections of our laws in the police, and we don't play with it because life is sacrosanct, and if there's a mistake with firearms, anything can happen.
Rifles, long rifles. I don't know what name you call them, sir. But then, what happens to pistols? And in cases where we have often accidental discharges from these guns, what happened to shot pistols, shotguns, and their use in the Nigerian police force?
Understand that question very well. A firearm is a firearm, whether it is short, whether it is long, whether it's a pistol, and there are ways of manipulating these firearms. There is what we call a safety catch. There are so many ways you can protect your firearms from accidental discharge. Some people cock their rifles ready for use and put in safety. In that case, the firearm is safe, but then anything can happen if you are in an operation. And we thank God in the police force, if for some time, the incidents of misuse of firearms has drastically reduced.
No, sir. I really want to know, is there any situation that warrants a police officer, an armed one at that, to shoot at an unarmed civilian? Is there any situation that warrants that?
I've explained to you that we have what we call Force Order 237. If you are armed and you are in combat with somebody, naturally you can use firearms. But then, even if you are not armed, there are circumstances in this particular force order that I'm telling you where firearms can be used. One is when your life is in danger and there is no other way you can protect yourself, you can use firearms. If somebody else's life is in danger and there is no way you can protect that person, you also can use firearms. If a felon commits an offense in your presence and takes to flight, and there is no way you can arrest that man other than to use firearms, you can use firearms, but don't forget that the police never aims to kill. The police aims to maim, that is to bring that person down, not to shoot him outrightly and kill him. So if you are dispersing rioters, for example, after the word of proclamation to fire has been given, the law says you can use firearms. So you can actually use firearms on somebody who is not carrying firearms, depending on the circumstances in which you are using the firearms.
It sounds to be quite interesting, isn't it, to know that there are laws and backing.
You know, what if in the course of shooting to maim, you actually shoot and the person dies? Then what?
Well, we're also wondering, Commissioner, even the course of shooting to maim rather, the person in question dies. Is the police officer still covered by the law?
The police is very careful about use of firearms. We are very, very careful. Our job is to protect life and property, not to destroy life and property. So we don't play with it at all. In circumstances like that, these firearms that you see people carrying is not exactly easy to manipulate. When people go to range, that's why some people do what they call washout. It's not easy, and we need a lot of training to train officers to be able to shoot at the target. And when somebody, like I told you, instances of somebody taken to flight, when you are running, when you are in motion, and a firearm is sent at you, it might get to another place, but any policeman that misuses firearm is dealt with according to law, and in most cases, in almost all the cases, they're also prosecuted for wrong use of firearms. In some cases, they are charged for murder.
Reported on a weekly basis, we've seen the command parade suspected criminals, and one of the usual sights is a display of firearms. What's being done to check the proliferation of small arms in Oyo State?
Well, we thank God that in Oyo State, we are doing what we call intelligence policing, and we are arresting these robbers or people who carry firearms. And I would say there's a proliferation. There are some arms, and we arrest robbers, and we arrest them with arms, and we keep these arms and use it to prosecute them. We had a case about a week ago where we have a woman was the armorer of this gang of robbers. We arrested them, and we recovered about 12 arms from this particular gang. So what we do is that we don't wait for a crime to be committed. We use what we call intelligence-led policing, and we go after these people and we arrest them with arms. But to say there is proliferation, when you say there is proliferation, what you are saying is that there is a lot of it. There is not a lot of arms in Oyo State, but the ones that is in circulation in wrong hands, we are trying the best we can to make sure that we get them from them and use it to prosecute them.
Commissioner, on a very last note, so we can allow you get back to work, I want to know how far the Nigeria Police Force actually goes in terms of compensation to families who have lost someone to extrajudicial killing. And I'm not talking about monetary compensation only, because there's a lot of emotional trauma also involved when a family loses someone like that suddenly. How far really does the police force goes in terms of trying to reconcile with such families and see that they're okay, you know? Do you just take it like, okay, it happened? What exactly do you do? How far do you go with that?
Well, I know that in cases where people have been wronged, particularly where a member of the family has been lost, the police is an organization that is actually misunderstood, and the management of the force, passionate hearts, and when they look at cases like this, they go out and offer whatever assistance they can offer to these families. We have an educational system that runs through primary, secondary, and all that. In some cases, these children of victims are given free scholarship in police schools. Sometimes they are given something to do, maybe a vehicle to run a commercial business or something. But where the police is wrong, and we find out that our men are at fault, compensation is given. Compensation is given by the highest authority of the force. We are a force of human face, and mistakes can be made. We don't leave the victims like that. So many cases where we have they have been adequately compensated.
So let's quickly clear the air about this. Is there any provision in the law as we speak for possession of firearms by private individuals in Nigeria?
There is a provision in the law, but I think it's been reviewed. People used to be allowed to have licenses to carry some category of firearms, but I'm aware that there's a directive that if you want to do that now, I think it's more cumbersome. The law itself has not been completely eradicated, but I think the police force and the government are being careful about people who can actually have licenses to carry firearms. It's not as easy as it used to be before.
All right, we'd like to say a very big thank you to you, Commissioner, for joining us on the program today. We appreciate your time. That's been Commissioner of Police for your state, Abiodun Odunde. Still with us in our Lagos studios is Mr. Richard Amuwa, who is a security consultant and expert. All right, you heard a lot of what the commissioner said there, and you were quietly reacting to some of his statements here. Okay, so what exactly about what he said do you not agree with?
When he said that there's a lot of gun everywhere in Ibadan, I mean, or your state, I don't agree with that.
Okay.
In Nigeria and China, there's so many guns everywhere, and we have seen that.
Do we have a recognized black market for firearms?
We don't. We
Okay.
don't have a recognized one,
Okay.
but there are guns everywhere. And that's why you see insecurity is thriving in Nigeria, because everybody has gun with them. You see people on the streets, you see people on the on the traffic, and before they know it, you see, the truth of the matter is that the police will do their best, but like I keep saying, the system itself needs to help the police. The commissioner have said all the good things he need to say. He need to save his job. You need to paint police in a right, but the people can see. People are seeing, so it's not about saying it. It's about what is happening here. For me, I think the gun issue, even the federal government have said that at a point, just like they did with whistleblowing for corruption, they said they are coming up with whistleblowing for people to talk about issue of ammunition with people. So it shows that there's so much insecurity in the land. And like I said again, police cannot do it alone. So people need to tell the police, if you see guns, you see someone carrying a gun, and you think it's not licensed, there's need for you to blow the whistle.
So recently we have seen headsmen turn into gunmen, or gunmen turn into headsmen, and this is causing a lot of trouble, not only in northern Nigeria, it's also gradually coming south. What do you think needs to be done at this time?
I think we have said in different fora, we should stop calling them herdsmen. They are not herdsmen. Those guys are Boko Haram. You see, we need to give them a name. It's just like some years ago when Nigeria said we are not a terrorist nation. We are not Nigeria, no terrorism. But for those of us who are security, say let's call spade a spade. When you have a attitude or a bad character and you recognize that character in you need to change it. Herdsmen, they are not herdsmen. I grew up to know herdsmen as a friend. Herdsmen, I grew up down in Owo, Ondo State. I'm from Delta State. Herdsmen passes through my daddy's farm, and this fora, all those stuff. They share with us. So what we see today is not herdsmen. They are Boko Haram, who has infiltrated the herdsmen because they speak the same language. Because seriously, it's not today that cow have been passing through people's farm, and they have a route they pass. So how suddenly they become violent? So I think what we keep saying is that police alone cannot do it.
Yeah.
I'm on national television saying we have about 350,000 policemen protecting over 180 million people. For crying out loud, how do you think police alone can do this?
And a large percentage of them have been deployed to
Exactly. As I'm telling you today, I'm even shocked that as I'm coming down the street, I didn't see policemen. Because every nook and cranny, you see police here and there. All the hotels, all the supermall, all the shops, all the name them. How many policemen do you see on the street? Sorry, I might sound here and there today. I feel for the police. I sympathize with them. I gone through so many training with them, and I knew that with the training a police officer have passed through, he's supposed to be a fine officer. But the system will not allow them to be a fine officer. Okay, for example, like the guy that went for snail, that got shot at what's it called? At what's it called? After Aja, it was in the news yesterday. And the wife is crying wolf right now because when the guy was shot, he was not dead, he was not bleeding. And they begged the police officer, please, let's take this.
Let's take him to the hospital.
Let's take him to the hospital. They refused, for crying out loud. If I'm a thief, a policeman that shot me, your interest should be for me to tell you my gang, so that I can go after them, not to kill me. But what most police do, not every policeman, most police, what they do, when you kill somebody, you are going to investigate, or your evidence. So how do you go?
You have
about,
lost the thread.
You lost the thread
so
in
what
that
I'm saying is that, okay.
I must confess to you that we have fine officer in Nigerian police. Seriously, if we get to the hierarchy of police, the ACP, the CP, the most superintendent of police,
the finesse comes out
you
at that
understand?
point.
You see them.
Yeah. I understand what you mean, but since we're discussing this issue and the issue of the system, being the attendant problem, it calls to mind the fact that other sectors might also be responsible, for the proliferation of firearms. For instance, our borders, because I wonder how all this ammunition actually gets into the country without any trace. Nobody can actually trace where they're coming in from, how they got in, or how many there are per time, because when you look at armed robbers being paraded on television, and you look at pictures of the supposed headsmen when they're being paraded, you see the guns are sophisticated. They are not local.
What of the court guys in Rivers State?
Exactly, they're not local guns.
Bayelsa.
I mean, so it means they're being shipped in.
Yeah.
So what is happening with our borders? What's happening with our laws, with regulations as to what comes in and where are they delivered? Like a trail, so that they can trace who has what and who brought what into the country.
And I think we are fighting the wrong fight by just attacking the police. You just brought it out. The system I keep saying is the fact that, for example, the last administration said we have over 400 and something borders international borders that enter routes that enter into Nigeria. Have you heard anything that the government have done to close those borders or to reduce those borders? No. The point here again is that our representative, it was so sad that I didn't have time to ask the honorable who we interviewed this morning a simple question. The question here is, what are they doing to protect the people? That's my simple question. Because the number of ammunition that comes into this country, every time you hear about people denouncing courtesan in Rivers State, in Bayelsa State, and you see ammunition.
Where do they come from?
And these ammunition, police does not even have them. Where do they come from?
Recently,
So the question here is that we as people, it's time for us to hold our representative and say, please. You see, I've said so many times that we are protected in this country about there's no lights, no fuel, no this, no that. I mean, of us have really come out to say our security is really threatened. Let's protect and see how we can take back our security. Leaders, what are you doing? How are you helping the police? How are you helping the army? No, you see, I'm saying this because as a security consultant, knowing what is happening in this country, sometimes I don't get scared, I don't get paranoid, but I knew that there's no security in this country. I said it with no fear. I say it with the fact that let the authorities who are listening to us today know that the police are working with the little they have.
I think the first place for us to start as a people would be for us to even reawaken what I like to call security consciousness, because a lot of us don't even know what it means to be secure. The fact that you can go to work and come back, or go to the market and come back and you're okay, to a lot of people, I mean, that's what security is. So maybe you need to expatiate a bit on that. What actually would define a properly secure country? What are the parameters for for determining that?
First of all, what determines a good, secure country or people starts with you, first of all. Being able to understand your environment. Being able to understand that the security starts with me. You see, sometimes I run a program on radio for the past 6 years, and I talk security every Monday. And I get people to understand that if you don't take hold of your security, government cannot. For example, His Excellency Akinwumi Ambode yesterday donated about 20 saloon. I mean, the True Lagos Security Trust Fund donated about 20 saloon vehicles, to the police, RRS. When he came to power, he gave both vehicles, both armored vehicles, totaling 4.5 billion naira to the state. He has set up again neighborhood watch, but it does not end there. The people that these people are to protect, what do they know about security? How do they react to security? How do they react when insecurity is abound? Now, look at the issue of kidnapping. Kidnapping has become the order of the day. People know that we don't carry cash anymore. If you come to my house, the highest you can see is a plate of food or a pot of soup. You don't have that. So what they now do is that they know that everybody has a value. If they take you, that means that either your church person pay, your family member will pay, so they'll get money. Now, how much are we educating people about how to stay secure, how to stay safe? How do you know that somebody is following you? Like I said earlier, how do you, as a citizen, make police your friend? I tell myself, if I am driving and I'm driving at awkward time and I realize that there's a police checking point, before I get to that police, I put on my inner lights, give him a smile. Where are you coming from? If possible, I give my ID card. If I think that it's becoming very unfriendly, as officer, I'm sorry. This is where I'm coming from. I'm coming from my duty, or I'm coming from a club or wherever. I'm getting home. Don't get agitated or get angry. Don't forget that this guy has been standing from 8 a.m. or 6 a.m. to that particular
Unfortunately,
time.
that's what we get, because it appears the citizen himself or herself already has an idea.
Thank you.
Yes, about what the police
already
police,
being
thank
aggressive.
you.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Listen, thank you. You see, so people need to understand that these guys are human, and they need assistance. You know that sometimes I buy bottled water in my car, and as I drive, I park by a police checkpoint. I say, guys, I give them one by one. I'm not doing that because
Just water.
Just water.
It goes a long
You
way.
understand? It goes a long way.
But how do we draw the line between that? Because
Hold on.
I recall that I was on my way home at night.
Yes.
And then the
As a
policeman...
journalist, closing late?
Yes, closing late, going to work. I mean, going home around past 11 in the night.
Almost midnight.
Maybe a few minutes to midnight. And then the guy stopped us. I was sitting at the back of the Jeep. Then I was supposed to sit at the back. We were many, so they kept dropping. And there's this idea, because you're sitting at the back, oh, you're the owner of the vehicle. I was like, oh, guy, what's up there? And then the guy was trying to ask me for some money.
Yes.
How do we draw the line between you giving a police officer a bottle of water and the police officer asking for money?
It's two different things. When they ask, it's obviously they are asking. But I don't
Is
allow
it
them.
wrong for them to ask?
Oh, of course, it's wrong to ask. There's some they ask, slightly, okay, guy, this weekend though, guy, you there now, your boys, all the kind of thing. Yeah, we know that it's wrong. But what I'm saying is that when we develop this attitude of we have already perceived how the police is going to react.
That's right.
It becomes very. You see, I want Nigerians, especially Lagosians, because
It becomes explosive.
Yes, I want us,
people.
wherever they are listening to us from right now, in Abuja, in Ibadan, everywhere, because we're on DSTV. People need to see police as their brother. Seriously. They need to see police as their sister. These guys are really going through a lot. You see, I'm saying, seriously, I don't have any family in police. I don't have anything. I was even to become a police officer. I refused the offer. So I'm not saying this today because
for obvious reasons.
I'm not speaking for the police today. But the question that she asked, I need police to start having this orientation, helping people to change. And again, they need to change. In the sense, like I keep saying, not just stop police person Sometimes, as you walk down the street, all those iyalata, all those bottle sellers, all those shops, go and familiarize yourself with them. Yesterday, I spoke about community policing. And I said, if there's any three key thing that will help community policing in Nigeria, is number one, partnership with the police. Number two, being friendly. And number three, understanding the psychology of the police. For example, this is an area right now. How many police do you see in a horse parading, interacting with people? I know that today, thank God there's 767 or 112 in Lagos as is. Today, as a police force nationally, we don't have a 3-digit number like we call
Hotline.
199.
Yeah.
How?
To alert the police.
Please tell me. And there's so much money being spent on things that are not germane, things that are not necessarily. And you see, that's why I keep telling people, time has come where we need to become one. Let's forget about tribal, let's forget about religion, let's forget about where I came from and take hold of our country. And how do we take hold of our country? Is to ask questions. And asking questions that some of us have traveled so wide and far. We see things done in abroad. How come we cannot say, please, imagine a national police number. Today, police is still using 11 digits. Tell me how a woman in one corner that sees something that needed to report and call that number.
Sometimes I forget my own mobile
Oh,
number.
yeah?
Yeah, I do. So.
Oh, yeah? Sometimes I present to my wife most times. I say, please. So what we're saying here is that as citizens, there's need. Because what we're doing today is advocacy.
Yeah.
That's right.
So with all these extrajudicial killings here and there, we can actually avoid them. I'm going to tell you, provocation is one thing that causes extrajudicial killing. But again, police need to understand that they be trained to an extent where they need to have some restriction.
Exactly. I know that every living Nigeria today has had an encounter with the Nigerian police.
Yes.
Some of them good, some of them bad.
Yeah.
You know, there are good sides and there are bad sides to them. But then the killings of innocent Nigerians has to stop, whatever it takes. Yeah. And I think the government of the day should also look into the issue of how these arms and ammunition come into this country without a trace. That is a big issue. Yeah. Thank you very much, sir, Mr. Richard Amua, for coming on the program today. It's been really nice to have had you on the show. He is a security expert and consultant.
Earlier, we spoke with the Commissioner of Police in Oyo State, Abiodun Odude, and also